how we as a staff are going to break down film if I'm talking about gap defense. So here's a look of a defense we play this year at West Georgia. The head coach at West Georgia does a great job. I've coached against him when he was at Mercer as the DC. But this is what we all designed the playbook to look like. It's a 4-2 defense in the box. So that means those 6 guys are going to handle from C gap to C gap. If I'm talking about a C gap read, the first man outside of that tackle is the defensive end. The first man outside of this tackle is the defensive end. Those are both the C gap defenders. So now where's the extra? Where's the apex player coming from? So in this cover 4 defense, there's my D gap and there's my D gap. And that's what most of us have designed RPOs to beat, is the Sam linebacker, the nickel Sam, and the boundary safety, which we label as a Rover. So that's basic. That's simple. That's what we all and then there's just off cover 4 right here. And we're playing 8 guys in the box. All right, next slide here. A little variation. All right. It appears if I'm teaching a freshman quarterback right here, day 1, he's going to tell me, Coach, this is single high. I've went away from the last couple of years of teaching 1 high, 2 high because of how complex these defenses can look. There's one guy between the hashes. All right. So if I'm talking to my 18-year-old that's early enrollee, he's going to tell me probably that's a 1 high defense. Well, let's go back to teaching gaps. If I'm teaching gaps, it's a 4-2 box. There's my C gap defensive end. Here's my C gap defensive end. These 4 guys are inside box players, A and B gap. So now the boundary safety, this Rover, is still the first man outside the C gap. Up top to the field side now, the first man outside the C gap is the safety that's going to be inserting. We call this robber. It's a variation of mini. I've heard it called many, many different things. I call it robber because old head coach of mine at Arkansas Tech, Raymond Monica, ran it, and that's what he called it. So that's what we go with. So the free safety now is reading that tackle there, and he's going to come from distance to be the fitter. So if I'm running normal RPOs, if I'm running bubble, if I'm running a stick concept, if I'm running any of those things, it's not really going to work that well because the nickel Sam is playing outside leverage. So he can drive and trigger the bubble, and they've got 2 outside that can take the bubble. He's not going to go anywhere and fit anything when that hitch happens. He's just going to drive on the hitch. So then that week, I've got to design plays that get in this guy's conflict. So we talk conflict will be the next thing we'll get to here in a second. But this guy's conflict is he's got the middle of the field in quarters, but he's also got the D gap. So he can't serve 2 masters. So my RPOs have to get to the middle of the field. Whereas in normal quarters and normal 2 read, in those normal cover 4 defenses, I can take the intermediate throws, where this defense is designed to stop the intermediate RPO. But it's more likely that you're going to get vertical home run passing game concepts out of playing this defense. All right, another example here. It's very similar to the field. So what we do is we cut the field in half for our quarterbacks. I cut the field in half. Up top, here's a 4-2 box again. C-gap players, the defensive ends on both sides. So now the first man removed from the C-gap is now this free safety again, where the nickel Sam is outside leverage of the number 2 receiver. So that means from distance, the free has got to come and fit this gap. He's going to read that tackle. He's going to read that mesh point to see if he's going to fit. Now into the boundary, you see there's a little bit of separation, barely, but the corner is a lot lower. So as soon as the ball snaps here, you see run action is pulling this safety to drive that box right there. Into the boundary now, though, the corner's getting into the fit. So if I just taught my quarterback to read the boundary safety, this corner's going to get here and make every tackle when we hand the ball off because the boundary safety is actually playing cover 2. So for us, this is robber up top and cover 2 in the boundary. Some people call it a version of cover 6, but we call it robber 2. So our quarterback understands it's a full split field coverage that they don't know what the other side's really playing. What they're doing doesn't determine what the other side is playing. So this week, if this is their number one coverage, I need to get vertical routes out the slot to the field, and we need to get something either by reducing our split or widening our splits. It's going to mess with this cover two corner that I can get whole shot type passes into the boundary. At West Georgia, I respect the heck out of what West Georgia does. It's a defense that makes it very difficult to stop to do RPOs against. So this is West Georgia, another clip of them. This is in our breakdown stuff. So we're in 11 personnel. They've got a 4-man front. There's your C-gap defensive end. Well, now I've only got a 1-backer box, so it makes you get the illusion this is a light box, so hand the ball off. But they're playing now what we call double robber or double mini, essentially, where corners got man eyes on one, corners got man on one. And now they've taken both safeties, and both safeties are now playing inside the outside linebackers. Where there's the nickel, and all they've done is apex the will backer. And the will backer is now playing outside of number 2, which is the tight end, nickel Sam, outside number 2. So they're really getting a 4-3 fit, but they're getting their 4-3 fit out of both safeties getting into the fit. So going back to how do you attack robber coverage? How do you attack mini coverage? You need vertical routes. I need to get vertical routes, either getting the tight end vertical, getting the slot receiver vertical. I need to figure out, and what West Georgia did a really good job of, and what defense is doing a really good job of now, is they're fitting based off the alignment of the tailback. So it breaks a rule that I like to have. I think it's tough to read out of your butt. You read out of your brown hole is what we call it. But when that back comes in this path here, this safety is going to fast fit. This safety is going to hold his feet and slow fit. So now I can get RPOs to the side of where the back is headed. And now what you're starting to, what I'm trying to paint the picture for here is I can't just teach read the boundary safety. I can't just teach read the nickel Sam, because my quarterback, for what all I see, is going to be wrong a lot of the time. All right, here's a look of Southern Utah, right? Trying to hold a 2 safety shell right off the bat. If I just taught read the nickel Sam, well, that nickel Sam is aborting the gap, and they are dropping down a free safety into the fit. And what they're actually playing here is double invert. So here's my inverted half corner. Here's my inverted half corner. Here's my flat player. Here is my inverted half nickel Sam, and the free safety of the field's coming down into the fit, and a spot dropping invert 2. So I'm just giving you different looks of, I don't just see 4-4. I don't see just base coverages, base cover 4, base cover 2. So I've got to have an answer for my quarterback for different coverages that's built in every week with that different defenses I'm going to see. And then I'm going to show you this one more, Austin P. This is a base down. I'm seeing funky stuff, base down, and you get to see, and this is actually an RPO here, where I'm getting a bastardized kind of nod. I got a 0. Here's a 3 technique. Here's a stand-up Jack, Leo, whatever you guys call it. I've got a wide defensive end that's really, he's probably the D-gap player. Here comes a pressure right here. And they're playing 2 to the field. They're trap 2 in this thing, and they're playing invert 2 into the boundary. So it goes back to, once again, of, all right, well, where's the nickel Sam? All right, the nickel Sam in this look here has now decided, you know what, here's the free that's jumping into the fit. This is their normal nickel now that's getting up out of there. So I'm getting different looks. So we had to build a system that solves for different looks, that fixes all these crazy bastardized things that we are seeing on a weekly basis now. So